Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name is Nate Miyaki, and I just wanted to say thanks for having me as a guest here on the Paleo FX blog. I'm stoked to be here. What we thought would be a good introductory post is just to summarize my overall approach to nutrition, my intermittent feasting style approach to nutrition, and then we can expand upon those topics down the line. But if you don't have a big picture idea of where I'm coming from, it's easy to get confused once we dive into the details. Okay, so and probably first off, I should just tell you the goal of the approach, and it's really to merge health enhancement with physique or performance enhancement. So I'm looking for a good blend of those two things, meaning that if you're a crazy bodybuilder, a fitness diva who's willing to sacrifice their health and long-term metabolic and hormonal health to look good in a bikini or board shorts, I'm probably not the guy to follow. At the same time, if you're a life extensionist who is willing to live and look like a goblin and try to make it 200 years, I'm probably not the guy to follow. And more seriously, if you're dealing with a specific medical condition, there's probably researchers and advisors who can better help you. The second goal is to make that plan as practical and functional and sustainable as a lifestyle plan, even if you're a busy professional. All right, what I've done to accomplish those goals is to narrow it down basically to 3 major steps, and I want to tell you what those are right now. All right, the big step number 1 is to optimize food choices for overall health. Now, we can try to overcomplicate what is the major problem with the Y2K American diet and what is causing all of our obesity and disease problems. But the simple truth is we just eat too much refined, crappy food, junk food, processed foods. If people cut back on that and just ate more real, whole, natural foods, that would take 90% of the people 90% of the way, with both health enhancement and losing some weight, looking great, physique enhancement type goals. So what I try to do is to simplify that for people, and I use different diet templates to do that based on your activity levels, your metabolic condition, and your performance and physique goals, right? So one of the ones, obviously, for most people who are sedentary, perhaps pre-diabetic, insulin resistant, we're here on Paleo FX, is the paleo diet. It's just a great template that simplifies the process for a lot of people who aren't trained in nutrition, right? Or who have been brainwashed by archaic nutrition programs. So, hey, if it was around 10,000 years ago, you can eat it. If it's neon blue and as a Pop-Tart, you probably shouldn't. Eat more animals, whole fruits, vegetables, whole food fats like nuts, and you're cut out the crap and you're gonna get great results, improve your health, lose a bunch of weight, look great. If you are more of an athlete though, if you do some anaerobic training like strength training or cross training or just are a performance athlete in general, I use a different template. And to be fair, people who have studied paleo nutrition, they understand that there's no one universal macronutrient distribution, carbs versus fats, in ancestral nutrition, right? Again, I'm just looking to simplify it for people, not get into semantics and anthropological debates and things like that. So another template I use is a Japanese village diet, which is essentially the same thing. Animal proteins, vegetables, whole fruits, and then instead of emphasizing fats, I emphasize more what's called in the industry now safe starches, things like that. So sweet potatoes, rice, the goal being to keep the benefits of a paleo type diet, eliminating sugars and vegetable oils and things like that, gluten, anti-nutrients, yet adding back in some starch to support anaerobic training. The best way I think you can do that is like a Japanese style diet, which is reintegration of root vegetables and white rice. Okay, big step number 2 is to adjust the diet numbers, things like calories and proteins, carbs and fats, to the individual or the individual situation. So the metabolic condition and the training and physique and performance goals. So there's no one universal diet prescription that works for everyone everywhere. All right, we know the problem for most people. Most people are sedentary, sitting around in an office all day and eating a diet that's better suited for athletes. So they're overeating carbohydrates, becoming insulin resistant, pre-diabetic, and gaining a bunch of weight. So for a lot of people, a lower carb approach is the best approach for them to improve their biomarkers of health, lose weight, and just get results with their plan. However, this is where I integrate some sports nutrition, some exercise physiology and sports nutrition research to kind of modernize a plan. So athletes with modern performance and physique goals are not caveman. So they should not be trying to eat like caveman. Caveman were doing a bunch of low intensity activity interspersed with some high intensity sprinting and clubbing stuff to death, but they weren't doing the type of sustained glycogen depleting or muscle tearing training like a bodybuilder or a CrossFitter or a team sport athlete. So this is where we need to integrate some sports nutrition research, and this is where the numbers change. So for someone doing a lot of anaerobic training, this is where the diet would lean a little bit more towards carbohydrates to properly refuel and recover from those training sessions. And there can be a lot of metabolic and hormonal and physiological drawbacks of going too low in carbohydrates combined with anaerobic training. I've experienced this myself. So you get things like muscle loss, lowered metabolic rate, impaired thyroid production, low testosterone, low sex drive. So there can be problems with the wrong numbers, whether it is too many carbohydrates or too low a carbohydrates. So what we do is we try to adjust the numbers based on the specific, again, metabolic condition, training program, and then physique and performance goals. So there's a variety, obviously, within that framework. Too much to cover here, but just recognize that there's no one universal diet macronutrient prescription that works for everyone. Okay, big step number 3 then is finding the right diet structure, meal frequency, and food distribution that makes your plan as practical, functional, and sustainable as possible. So most of the research that's out now basically shows that as long as you control for food choices and the right numbers, you could break up your diet any way you see fit and get great results. So the beauty of that is now you can make your diet fit your life, not the other way around, right? What I found that has really helped in my practice as a core of my nutrition approach is taking the paleo theory one step further, saying, hey, we used to eat certain foods, but we also used to eat a certain way. We were hunter-gatherers, right? Eating lighter or fasting during the day while we're hunting and gathering, and then coming home and having that big feast on whatever we could catch that day. So that's the way I set up my diet structure, is the intermittent fasting and actually what I think is more important, the feasting approach. So what you do during the day is flexible. If you feel better grazing, that's fine. Most of my plans are based on 2 to 3 meals a day, eating lighter, and then eating the biggest meal with the majority of calories and carbohydrates at night. It's the intermittent feast. And it works on a variety of levels. And honestly, in my practice that I've had for 15 years, it's the hook that has gotten people results. Basically, people who struggle and could never stick to a plan in the past, they're like, man, this is the easiest, most natural way to eat. And I believe it works on a variety of levels. One is just natural instinct, right? When do most of us cheat or want to eat on our diets? It's at night. Most of us can make good food choices during the day as long as we know we get to end the day, satiated and satisfied. It works on a social level, right? When do we go out and do most of our socializing, want to have big dinners? When do we do business dinners? It's at night, right? It works physiologically. Basically, I don't want to get into details of that, but optimizing fat burning during the day, improving insulin sensitivity, and then restocking energy reserves at night, having an anabolic period there. And then finally, and most importantly, I think it's psychology-wise, most people can sacrifice and eat lighter during the day as long as they know they get that reward of a complete meal at the end of the day. The reverse is not true, which is what most people try to do, is to try to is to eat all of their food earlier in the day and then try to starve themselves at night. Can't do it. Again, that's when most people binge. So, but it's not the only way. It's just choose any meal frequency and food distribution pattern that makes your diet as practical, functional, and sustainable as possible to follow. So if you are one of those people who does better on 6 small meals a day and starving on lettuce leaves at night, fine, great. A lot of busy professionals find that 3 meals a day, the traditional 3, works great. It's the crappy food choices why that pattern doesn't work. You make better food choices, it can work great as a fat loss health enhancement plan My approach again is to go more intermittent fasting and feasting. So basically just eating lunch and dinner and having dinner being the biggest meal at night. All right. So that's the overall approach. I'm sure we'll dive into a bunch of those topics, but I hope it gives you a good idea of where I'm coming from. And I look forward to spending some more time together.